Hello students, and welcome to another lecture of our subject Fundamentals of Programming. Today, our discussion is focused on the basics of a C++ program. Our objectives for today's lecture are the following. Number one, we're going to examine the basic structure of a C++ program. Number two, we are going to familiarize the functions, special symbols, and identifiers of a C++ program. Next, we are going to compile and run a C++ program using a div C++ IDE, IDE rather. Okay, first, let me give you an example of what a C++ program looks like. So, in this particular figure, you are now seeing the different structure or parts of a C++ program. So let me give you a view of what it is really look like when you use a DivC IDE. So first, you need to open your compiler, look for your programs installed in your computer, and look for DivC++ application. Okay, so this is now your div C++ application IDE. So the purpose of this application is for us to be able to write and compile our own program uh, easily. No? So first you need to create a new file, new source file. Okay, so it will give you a blank canvas. Then this particular blank canvas will uh, where you write your C++ program. So I have now an example implementation of that. Okay. So for example, you are done writing the example program. So uh, in this particular example, we have several particular structure of our program. So uh, So the text that is highlighted is what you call comment. So later I'm going to discuss what comment is. So this is very important because it gives you a documentation or idea of what this program is all about, or comments provides you with a uh, uh, what you call this label of a particular process or purpose of that process. Another line is line number 6. So line number 6 is what we call the program header. So this is very important because this provides us the important mechanism that we need to use or we need to use in our program. In this example, we have IO stream, meaning we're going to use the input and output stream mechanism for our C++ program. And we have the main function. So this is the main structure that is being used by our by the program. So this is the first body that is being executed by the program. So the main. So it is actually has a label, which is the main program, and has a open and closed curly brace that denotes the certain block of a code. No? And we have here a line, cout, two lines that allows us to display a message in a screen. And when you use an int main function, it requires to have a return 0. Okay, so let's focus now on our discussion. Okay, so let me just adjust my screen for you to be able to view my slide. Okay. Okay, so let's proceed. Okay, so when you run the program, the output is actually like this. Okay, so Later, I'm going to discuss how are you going to compile and run your program. But first, let me first introduce the basic blocks and components of a C++. Okay, so the function or a subprogram is a collection of statements. So when executed, it accomplishes something. For example, the main block of our program is the main function. So it accomplishes something. So it will display message in the screen. So it may be a predefined or standard function. So when we say predefined, which is we will tackle in our discussion in the following days, but for now, let us focus on the standard, which is the main. So predefined means you are the one who developed the function. So when you develop a C++ program, you need to follow certain rules, and that's what we call syntax. So syntax are rules that specify which statements or instructions are legal or valid. So when you write C++ statements, it must follow the syntax rules, how it is being written. Okay? So in this example, in our program, notice nyo, so meron tayong curly brace. If you open a curly brace, you must close it with the curly brace so that it denotes a certain block. And notice nyo, there are special symbols that you need to use. And of course, there are semicolons at the end of the statement. So those are example of syntax rules. So every statement in C++ must end with a semicolon. Okay? So, semantic rules determines the meaning of the instruction. So, that particular rules gives us an idea uh, what is the meaning of our uh, syntax. For example, we have a function. This is a rule that we need to apply in order to use this particular function. In this case, we have parameters. Okay, so programming language is a set of rules, symbols, and special words. So please try to remember that we need to uh, know the basic fundamental structure of a program before using it so that we don't encounter any errors later. Next is comments. Comments are for reader or not the compiler. So the purpose of comments is to provide us documentation. That's what I have said a while ago. Idea of what particular purpose of the line so that when you save your program in back open it later, you have the idea what's the purpose of the lines that you put in it. So that's the purpose of comments. So there are two types of comments: the single line comments with that begins with two forward slashes. So I have here an example. So this is how you apply comments. In our implementation in DivC, this is what you call a single line comments. Okay. So for example, if I want to document this line, so I need to put two forward slash and write my uh, documentation. For example, this line prints welcome to C++ on your screen. So it has now a particular description of what is the purpose of this particular line here. Okay, so it is advisable that if you're creating a program, you must provide comments for future references. Okay, in my experience, when I also use comments to indicate which website or sources I get my particular lines of code. So when you conduct research and you want that block to be inserted in your program, please include comments or references where you get that particular block so that if you want to go back to it and want to know where it came from or it came from, you know where to go. Okay. So next, you can also use multiple line comments. So just enclose it with a forward slash and an asterisk, enclose it with an asterisk and another forward slash. So use it properly because that's the rules of writing multiple line comments. This is how you write uh, a comment to open a multi-line comments. This one right here, and this is how you write a closing multi-line comments. So remember, we have a syntax rules that we need to apply. So if you forgot this line here, the closing block, it will give you a compile error. Okay, next. So in C++, we also have reserved words, meaning reserved words or keywords, it cannot be redefined within a program. When we say redefined, you cannot uh, reuse it as a particular name of any structure. Like for example, you are going to create a variable and you want to name your variable uh, a particular variable with a specific name and it is considered to be a reserved word. C++ doesn't allow that. So reserved words cannot be used for anything other than their intended use. So there are example of reserved words. So notice nyo, there are several lists here. So if you want to uh, identify a complete list, I have uploaded the list of keywords that you need to identify so that you will not encounter any errors if sometimes accidentally nagamit niyo yung mga reserved words or keywords. So these are example of reserved words. Okay. Now, how do we run or compile a C++ program? So if you are using a standard keyboard for a laptop or a computer, you need to press F9 if you want to compile a program. So the purpose of compiling a program is for to be able to convert it to a machine language. And also, the compiler has this functionality to determine if your syntax is correct. And after compiling, you need to use or press F10 to execute or run the program. Or you can simultaneously compile and run it afterwards by pressing F11. So let me give you a demonstration. Okay, so let's go back to our program. So this is my program. So the primary purpose of this program is to display two lines of message from your screen. To display welcome to C++ and this is my first C++ application. To run it, you must press F9 or if you don't have that function key in your keyboard, you just click on compile and a dialog box will appear and provides you a report if your compilation is done and how uh, many seconds it being compiled. If no errors are found, so you need to click close and go to execute again and click run. Okay, so when you run the program, it will give you a window similar to this one. So which means this is now your running program. So congratulations. Okay, so if you want to uh, run at the same time compile it or compile at the same time or after compiling automatically run it, you just press F11 or just go to execute menu and choose compile and run. Okay, it will give a report and automatically a window will display showing the output of your program. Okay, by the way, uh, when your output is displayed and you want to modify your code, you must close the output window so that you can modify or recompile your code. Okay, so if you have questions with regarding to this demonstration, just drop a message in our comment section in Google Classroom and I will provide you answers or explanation of your or feedback about your questions. Okay, so that is our uh, keyboard shortcut for compiling and run the programs. So that's all. Thank you and happy programming.